So there have been some female powerhouse leaders who have retired recently. Serena Williams just retired from tennis. The Prime Minister of New Zealand decided not to continue another term. And more recently, the CEO of YouTube is leaving. And the reason for all these three amazing female leaders for leaving and retiring is to have more time with their families, to have more of a life, to have a life for themselves. And you probably want this too, right, legacy leader? Because for women of color and allies, we are learning and unlearning that success and happiness is not dependent solely on our working identity. We have other identities beyond work, like being a mother, daughter, sister, and or just being a human being. And let me emphasize on the word being of being a human being. We're human beings, not human doings. And in this episode, I'm joined by my friend, Kim Kiel, who's a mom and a copywriter for 15 years for small businesses and nonprofits. And in this episode, we talk about 5 tips to have a more sustainable and conscious business and life. All right, let's drop the beat.
Hey, Legacy Maker. I'm your host and MC, Elaine Lucardis, business and career coach for women of color and allies. And welcome to the Call Your Dreams podcast, where we have conscious conversations to help you create a business or career that is sustainable, abundant, and equitable to the lifestyle you deserve. Because our ancestors sacrificed so much so we could have this life of choice. Now, grab your coffee, tea, and or boba, and let's call your dreams to create your legacy.
Hey, legacy leaders. I'm excited to have my friend who I am obsessed with. I just told her, I'm one of your groupies. It's Kim Kiel, who is the founder of the boutique copywriting agency, Kim Kiel Copy, with 15 plus years of writing multi-six-figure campaigns for small businesses and nonprofits. So similar to me, Kim is from the nonprofit world, and she has an amazing podcast show called Ill Communication. It's like 5 to 10 minute bits on copywriting. And I'm excited to have her and to talk about 5 copywriting tips to have a sustainable business and life for the modern woman, because we've been seeing people like Serena Williams taking a sabbatical, people in the coaching world, people in different industries, the Prime Minister of New Zealand. So, Kim, I'm excited to have you here. Anything else you want to brag about yourself?
Hey, I think you got it in a nutshell. Thank you so much for having me. And I am just as obsessed with you. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Please join Kim's email list. I know I'm putting the call to action now, but how can they join their email list? I'm just going to put it out there right now. Your email list.
You can go to kimkiel.com, KIMKIEL.com/newsletter. And then you can just sign up right there. And you'll get little snippets a couple times a week, once a week, sometimes 2 times a week.
And her headlines, her subject headings, you just could learn so much from if you have your own business. I think the recent one I saw was like confessions of a failed launch. I was like, ooh, clickbait. Yes, I will hit that. Anyways, actually, I want to get into it. What we've been noticing, we're recording this in 2023 with women taking a sabbatical. Like, I remember seeing the incredible Prime Minister of New Zealand who decided she's no longer serving another term. She was able to govern really well, dealing with the pandemic and COVID and just other things. I know you're a mother of how many kids, Kim?
I have 2 preteen and a teenage boy.
Yeah. And I would love to get your thoughts. And we'll go into the copywriting tips, but this also kind of layers in of why it's so important to be mindful of having a sustainable business in life as a business owner and as a woman.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, You mentioned Serena Williams, the New Zealand Prime Minister. There's also a politician in Scotland who recently stepped back. And also the CEO of YouTube, who's a woman.
Yes, I saw.
She recently announced her stepping back as well. And it's because the success that we want to see in our lives isn't congruent with the kind of family lifestyle that we want. And I think when you're an entrepreneur, you have maybe a little bit more flexibility. We can create the kind of business that we want to have so that we have that freedom. Or maybe we get into jobs so that we know we can have that kind of freedom we want with our families. But if you're not really paying attention, you can end up getting sucked into this bigger machine or creating this sort of monster machine that is bigger than you can actually sustain and makes women want to like jump out and take a break and take a sabbatical because the system just isn't set up to support us in the daily lives and our career lives and our social lives.
Yeah, I think what I'm seeing, and even for me, and I'm sure for you, it's like a lot of the unlearning, right? We were raised for, okay, success is a lot of money, having that corner office with a beautiful view of the city, being able to manage everyone. And then you get here, you have kids, you have aging parents.
Yes.
We didn't predict the pandemic was going to be here and we were going to be in four walls, realizing what makes me happy. And it's like, hold on. This definition of success is not what I want.
And for some reason, we sort of forget that it's okay to have this like really modest little business or a really nice little career that just chugs along, brings us joy. But we don't always have to be like 10xing and scaling and being on all the platforms, we have to be okay with just being like a small success and feeling comfortable about that in our own lives, I think. But, we still need some of the systems and support to help us be able to show up at work and also to be able to like show up for our families as well.
I love that you share that. There's this, I think capitalism has a play with it too, and the patriarchy of more being the best. I just went to the Alt Summit conference and I met an Olympian, and even though she didn't win like a gold, silver, or bronze, I was like, you are clearly still the 1%. Like that is still an achievement to be in the Olympics. And I remember what my former job before I became a coach, I was working at Pasadena City College Foundation. It was my dream job. I got to raise millions for community college students. And my boss, Bobby Abram, who is still a good friend and mentor of mine, I loved how transparent and honest she was. She was like, we're not trying to be a big nonprofit. I'm not trying to be the Red Cross. I'm not trying to be the LA Philharmonic. Like, we are a local nonprofit and we want to serve our community. And this is what we are doing. She just owned it. And what I'm finding, what I found in my own business, I don't need to be the biggest, quote unquote, in terms of amount of hits on my website and followers. I want to impact the small amount with quality. It's kind of like Ivy League schools. That's the unfortunate thing. I think like a lot of people in this coaching industry or consulting industry, it's like more. I was like, but people pay a lot of money to go to Ivy Leagues or liberal arts schools for smaller student teacher ratio. And I'd rather have that. I don't know if you have anything you want to share about that perspective too.
I think what comes to me was you're just talking about that and what your last employer had done was actually niche in. Like she decided we're not going to serve everyone. This is exactly who we're going to serve. And that allows you, just that focus alone gives you a chance to like create some boundaries on your time, your energy, your bandwidth, so that you're not trying to be all the things to all the people. And I think that plays into the kind of marketing we do, the kind of copy we write, how we show up in our businesses, because we have that sort of more defined niche that we can play in. It's like being a bigger fish in a smaller pond. You can go deeper with your clients and customers when you have articulated who it is that you actually serve.
So already going deep in. So let's talk about the tips, like the 5 copywriting tips to be more sustainable. So I'm assuming one of them is niching. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Yeah. So I actually just did like a really low-key, lazy launch. I was an affiliate promoting a different online business course. And I knew I had very limited bandwidth to do it. I had a very short window of time in which to get stuff prepped and executed. So one of the things that I did was I significantly narrowed my niche. I decided that for this particular offer, I was only going to be talking to Gen X women in business. And because I created that niche, I was able to speak very directly to that audience. And they showed up. Like, they heard me, they reached out to me, they engaged with me. Ultimately, it wasn't the offer that they needed. It's an affiliate offer. You never know who's going to say yes to that. But what it showed me was the power of having that niche. And it just helped me like really focus in on my copy and know who I was talking to so that I didn't get distracted by like, oh, well, I need to talk to, people who are millennials or Gen Z, or I need to talk to the boomers. No, I was just talking to Gen X women. So just created a lot of more. It's so funny. Like when you narrow in, you actually create more space for yourself.
You do. And I implemented this new thing in my own business because I do calls to people that are interested in working with me. I have people fill out the form. And I was realizing I wasn't putting like the specific minimum amount per month. I even have extended payment plans at the minimum, $625 a month minimum for extended payment plans. And I didn't put that exact number. So I used to have 20 sales calls scheduled. And a lot of people took advantage of it, wanting a free session with me. And I'm like, my time is more important than doing all this. So now my team and I put a boundary, like within 24 hours, you need to fill out this form. And what happened this past month is 10 people actually opted out. So they booked a call, opted out. And I found that as a win. I was like, yes, I'm so excited that I have more time.
Yes.
And the people that did fill it out, they're just so ideal. I'm in conversations with them. I'm excited. And the reason why that was also important to me is that I could work out. I could go take a nap. Like, this is not even, I have more time to do more work. I could take a nap. I could go work out. I could sleep in. I could run. I just don't want all of this. And I just want to be direct and honest with others. And my niche is with women of color and allies. And I've been talking to someone who is an ally, and I really appreciate her. She was like, I don't want to take up space for someone that may should get this space. And I was like, actually, you even being mindful of it makes you an ideal person that I want to talk to. And I've noticed that my messaging retracts other people that are not ideal. So I just want to share how important it is to niche down, because then you get really excited with the people that you get to work with. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think it's really a win-win, because it focuses you and your copy and your messaging, and it magnetizes the right clients to you. So it becomes a little bit easier. It's so counterintuitive. Like it was eye-opening for me to do that experiment, and just to be able to say, niching is so good.
And I'm sure for you, it happens to me too. Sometimes you get someone that doesn't meet that target market, but they align in values, and you take them on. Like, that's okay too.
And there's nothing wrong with having, as long as you're disciplined and deciding this is on my term. Like I'm having a sales call with a client who is not, quote unquote, my ideal avatar, but it's an interest of mine, which is baseball. And so I'm going to just see where it goes. And, if it results in anything, great. If it doesn't, that's great. But I am choosing to go outside of my boundary. And I know that if I choose to work with that organization, it's going to be with some very good boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah. And I even want to reflect when I focus more on values, because I know values is a huge thing for you. What I've appreciated and noticed in my own business is I have more clients who aren't just coaches. There's such a pyramid scheme of that, right? Coaches, coaching, coaches, coaching, coaches.
Yeah.
Actually, majority of my clients now, one has a dog product-based business. Another one has a restaurant. Another person does DEI work. If anything, about 5% of my clients are now coaches. But what's beautiful is the diversity that's happening and how we can learn from all of it. Anyways, I always get into black holes with my guests, so I apologize. What's the second tip besides niching?
Well, you know what? I think you were leading in there with talking about values. And I think that leaning into your mission and your values and being very transparent about that, it's kind of it's kind of similar along the lines of niching, but so many consumers today are wanting to do business with ethical businesses. Like if you are donating 1% of your profits to a nonprofit, make sure you share that, because that is actually going to be more attractive to a potential client. So your sales will probably be easier if you're sharing and showing your values. I think the other thing about, trying to build in sustainability into our businesses is how we approach our launches and our promotions, and to approach those with ethics and values of being transparent as well. And one of the things that I have seen and heard other launch experts talking about is how we need to give people a longer amount of time to make a decision to work with us. And be very transparent from the beginning about what our pricing is. So whether you're selling a $15 product or a $15,000 product, to be very upfront and say, hey, later I'm going to be opening the doors to this offer that's $15,000. You can come in, you can stay, you can listen along, whatever. I just want to give you a heads up. That's what we're going to be talking. That's what the end goal is here. But here I am today to serve you with whatever maybe event or training you might be offering. But over time, your people will be able to look at that price tag and enroll themselves. So they're not going to be having sticker shock when you finally open the doors and it's $15,000, or hopping on a sales call and not finding out the price until you get on the sales call. And then you're in this state of flight freeze, and you need quick starts like that. And just to be a little bit more trauma aware and provide a little bit more space and longevity to allow people to make that decision, it also takes a lot of the pressure off of us as well. When we give people that longer lead time, we're not feeling as much pressure during a period of open cart or a sales or promotion to hit our sales goals, because we know that people are going to come in and they're going to be the right fit person.
Yeah. I know both of us have a similar background being in the nonprofit sector prior to having our business, me doing copywriting, me doing coaching. And it's weird because in the nonprofit world, as a former fundraiser, I was taught that it was a long time. Then I go into the coaching world, it needs to be faster, because I started back in 2017. And I've seen a lot of unlearning happening. And I would beat myself up recently. I knew this stuff. I came from the world of the nonprofit sector where we saw our donors as people we were focused on getting married with to till death do you part. Because in the nonprofit world, if you're nurturing a relationship, it's not just those major gifts and donations you're receiving. The bigger goal is hopefully you're going to be in their will or their trust, that they're going to donate millions to your nonprofit. And I will even share in my business, I do take time and giving people agency, right? So at the end of my first initial call with people, I say, hey, I'll send you a proposal. Do you want to have a follow-up call next week or two? Or do you prefer responding to me in email? No pressure. And then even when I follow up, because I'll be honest, I do get annoyed when people ghost me. Are you giving an option for people to say no to you instead of, hey, do you want to work together? Or what I've been doing in my emails is, hey, I just want to circle back. It's been a while since I heard from you. Let me know if you want to move forward, if you need to go on a call for any questions. And third, if you no longer want to work with me, that's okay too. Just let me know to honor both your time and mine.
Yeah, I love that. One of the emails that I like to send in that kind of a scenario is the 9-word email, which is very simply, are you still looking for support with blank? Or are you still needing help with blank? So in your case, it might be, are you still wanting to work with a coach? Are you still needing help with growing your business? Or are you still help with whatever? Are you still needing help with copywriting? And you just send that very simple email and people will reply back with a yes. And then you can enter into that conversation and take it the next step. Or they'll be like, no, I've decided to go another direction. So it's a very simple and inoffensive email. You just send those that one simple sentence and it gets it lands in the inbox and it grabs your attention because it is so simple and people will open it and read it and reply. And if they don't, then they're probably not a good fit anyway.
Yeah, if people don't respond after 1 or 2 times, I usually just say, okay, best of luck. And that's another thing too, when even people tell me I've decided to work with someone else, I actually congratulate them. Congratulations for finding a good fit.
Yeah. for knowing what you need.
Yes. Like celebrating them. And I will say I've done that 2 times before and they've referred me to other clients because we're not meant for everyone. Going back to your niching, we're not meant for everyone.
Yes. 100%. 100%.
So what is your third tip for our listeners?
I think this one might be a little surprising, but you might, if you're wanting to build in a little sustainability into your business, you might want to experiment with AI to write your copy or to help you plan your messaging. AI is all over the media news right now. Chat GPT, GPT-4, Jasper, Jarvis, these are all different services that you can access to help you write your copy. And what these newer versions are actually very, very good. What it needs is the quality of the prompts and the information that you feed the AI, and then it will spit out better quality information. So I have only experimented with it very little, but I have taken lots of really deep dive trainings with people who are sort of leading in this field. And it is mind blowing to me, the kind of powerful copy that you can get out of ChatGPT. It is not something that you want to ask it one prompt and get a spit out and then immediately copy and paste that into an email or onto a social post or into a blog. You need to really have some back and forth. Feed it information about who your client is, who your audience is. Feed it information about a particular scenario. Ask really compelling prompts like, give me a compelling, unique, emotional subject line for an email that is about finding sustainability in your business. Give me 5 examples, and it'll spit out 5 examples. And then you can say, that's great. Can you spit out 5 more? And so you can actually use it for a lot of idea generation. You can get it to write some longer content. But again, it's more like a first draft, second draft, and then you want to take it and rework it. But for someone like me, I'm a responder in my human design. So for me to put in a prompt and have it spit out something, I can look at that and be like, okay, this is what I like. This is what I don't like. This is how I'm going to change it. And it can help actually save you a little bit of time. If you're like, I don't know what to write, well, go to ChatGPT first and then iterate from there.
Yeah, it's processing it and orchestrating it. At Alt Summit, I got to meet with a product manager for Microsoft because Microsoft is leading GBT and they're working on another product. And it was just so fascinating, the questions you could ask and being more specific. And what it helps as a human being, it's processing. Like it's processing your brain like, oh, okay, this is too bland. Can you make this more fun?
Yes.
Right. And then there's a product called Microsoft Designer that Microsoft is working on. It's kind of like Canva, but it's with AI. We're asking specific questions. So can you create a post with Palm Springs vibes with an orange tint?
Wow.
Can you add a car in it? Like it was just more specific. My friend April Little, who's an executive career coach, described ChatGPT like it's mayonnaise, right? Like you were saying, like first, second draft, it's mayonnaise, just add your own spice into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't ever want to like necessarily trust the information and statistics that it pumps out for you. So you really do have to know your field of expertise. You need to know the topic. You don't want to trust because there are some errors in the data that it spits out. So you definitely want to review it and use it and adapt it. But I've used it to come up with like an outline for podcast episodes, for subject lines, podcast titles, headline ideas, and I even used it to write a silly poem that I used for a gag gift at Christmas. And I wrote this silly poem in like 20 minutes using ChatGPT. So, experiment with your own personal fun stuff.
What I heard is we could be poets here and send love letters to friends and family members.
Songs. Yes, songs, anything. Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't think ChatGPT could actually provide me a really good voice, so that's okay. Maybe in the future. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen in the future.
I just heard of a deep fake, a scam that's going on where it's like AI generated voice, like they're mimicking the voices of people's grandchildren and then calling grandparents and saying like, hey grandma, I'm trapped in the jail. Please send money. And it sounds just like their loved ones. So not that you want to use that, but robotic voices are getting pretty good.
That's crazy and insane. On a funny joke, I've had 2 psychics tell me that I'm going to have twins in the future. And I have jokingly said, if I have twins and they're girls, I'm going to call them Alexa and Siri. Those are their names.
And then you'll have like all your devices popping on all at the same time. Alexa, clean your room.
Siri, go get me water.
Yeah.
Legacy leader, want more tips, advice, and funny gifts straight into your inbox? Sign up for my Call Your Dreams newsletter at elainelou.com/join. That's ELAINELOU.com/join. JOIN. So, how's my newsletter different from this podcast? Glad you asked. Think of my newsletter as an up-to-date diary, like Zynga or Live Journal for my fellow millennials out there. I get more personal with lessons learned in my life and career and share important life tips like the everything but the bagel seasoning from Trader Joe's. Have you gotten it? You should go get it. And Trader Joe's, if you are listening, please sponsor me. So, are you ready to align your leadership and life? Join my free newsletter at elainelou.com/join. So, what's your 4th tip for us?
My 4th tip is to take a look back at good old-fashioned content creation. So, we've really seen a swing over the last several years to creating reels and then stories and then carousel posts and then being on TikTok and being on LinkedIn and being on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and being in all these places. And it is exhausting. And you physically can't be in all those places at once unless you have really superior systems and really superior team to help you repurpose your content, create the imagery, and help you get all that stuff out on all those different platforms. But even still, we have no control over what the algorithm is going to decide today. Are they going to show that reel? No, they're prioritizing carousel posts. Oh, okay, now we're doing stories. And then Meta recently decided to do like the blue check where you have to pay a subscription fee, which is fine. We pay for subscription fees for lots of services in our business. But if you're not willing to pay for that check, then your content probably isn't going to be shown to as many people in your audience. So if you want to get off that hamster wheel, I think I really see a swing back to creating content, whether that's blogging, creating a podcast, leveraging your email list to share and build a relationship off of those social media platforms that you don't own and you don't actually really truly engage with those audiences. So as you're creating, not saying don't create content on social media, but just know that when you do that, you should be having a call to action to get them to come onto your other platforms where you can engage with them. Podcasts are great. You and I both are using podcasts to build our audience. It's a great way to share content. It's a great way for people to hear you and create a relationship with your voice and your personality. Blogs are a great way to also share content. And yeah, we can share snippets of that on social media. But, like even just this week with TikTok being threatened at being shut down in Canada where I live, TikTok is not allowed on any government devices. So
wow.
I think the writing is on the wall.
But we've known this. This is not new. We've known this since they've existed.
Yes. And so if you have a really great TikTok following, start creating some calls to action to get people to engage with you on your email list, on your website, in other platforms. And I think that investment of time will build in a level of sustainability that will just give you a little bit more space and breadth. So you're not constantly on this hamster wheel of creating short form content that doesn't even exist after 24 hours.
And let's be real, creating those short-term content is actually really long. Creating reels would take me a year, an hour or 2, or even 3 hours to do. And as a millennial, I'm actually excited that long form content is making a comeback. But at the same time, it makes sense. Both Kim and I do have high end services where people are paying a penny to work with us. And with that, our customers are conscious spenders. So they're not just going to give like a 4-digit price tag to someone that did a 1-minute reel.
Yeah.
So giving people an option to get to know you through a podcast, through your email, through your blogs. I have all three. That's actually my focus in my own business. And I know it is for you. It allows your customer to make that decision if they want to work with you and if they don't. And that's great if they don't too.
What I've found with the kind of clients that I attract who are typically quick starts, they're typically, running multi 6 and 7-figure businesses. They don't have a lot of time, but when they either get a referral to me or I come across their path, then they binge all of my content at once. So they're going to be listening to all the podcast episodes. They're going to be looking at at sort of what I've just recently created and shared. And that's going to be how they make their decision of whether they want to book a call with me or not. So when you've created a reel that, might have been great 6 months ago, it's harder to find, like it's lost. So having a really great portfolio of your work on your website or on a podcast is a really great, or a YouTube channel is just a really great way to have that content available.
Yeah. And I will share, I was just thinking about the psychology of it. So about beginning of last year, and I have an episode with Monica Schrock, my marketing strategist, who's been on here a couple of times. So I'll put it in the show notes if you want to listen, where we focused on the long-term content and also just thinking about the customer. I use social media. I use Instagram to distract myself. I go there for a distraction to look at memes and GIFs. I follow I Am 30 AF, that makes fun of 30-year-olds. I follow CSA Punch, Chrissy Allen, who's a geriatric millennial. I don't know if you follow her. She is hilarious. I go on Instagram and social media to distract myself and for entertainment. And when I started thinking about how I use it, I started thinking about my consumers. Do I really want to work with someone who's distracted on social media? My clients are established entrepreneurs and leaders who know what they want. And when they know what they want, they're looking for it and they're going to do their due diligence and their research to get to know the person. Then I should focus on that. And that shift and that understanding and perspective has given me the most ideal clients. I don't even do launches anymore, really.
Right. I love that.
I have a sustainable business where clients are coming to me every month because they're looking for me and they're being intentional about who they want to work with.
Yeah, I love that. I think that if people want to create content, you can look at it as sort of staying in the loop or nurturing or stewarding your community a little bit in the same way, using some of the language from the fundraising world. So how can we keep delivering value and reaching out so that if they are scrolling Instagram, maybe you're there, but it's not for a sales moment. It's more for a moment of connection and know, like, and trust.
I will say, if you all follow me on Instagram, it's at @ElaineLou_. I am having fun with it. This is my first time I'm having fun with social media. So I'm just putting funny, reposting funny reels or GIFs, making fun of millennials. Or here I'm hiking. That's it. That's literally all it is.
You've got a few good food posts as well, I must say. I do enjoy watching some of your food posts.
Oh, see, follow me for some food tips. I will not be a food blogger, by the way. Please note that. I will eat, though. Yeah. What is your 5th tip for folks?
I think that what helps create sustainability in your business is being true to yourself and your voice. So how do you show up authentically if you're using social media, but in your emails, on your website, and that relates to your personality. So making sure that your personality is coming across in your content allows people to connect with you. It also helps you stand out in a sea of boring content. And, there are thousands and thousands of coaches out there. How are you? What is Elaine's unique secret sauce? What is her personality that I'm going to connect with that makes her stand out, that makes you stand out? and makes me want to work with you. So making sure you're not being too stuffy or getting too caught up in being formal and official and very businessy. And it's, we all come to communications with like years and years and years of school grammar drilled into us. And how can we just talk casually, infuse a couple of one-liners or a little bit of our humor, or talk about the books we love, or talk about the hikes we like going on. All of that, showing your personality, your authentic personality, you'll feel better because you won't feel like you're wearing this crazy mask and building this crazy business that doesn't look like you, but you'll also more easily connect with that ideal customer, and those sales will flow more naturally when you use and infuse some more personality in your marketing.
Yes to all of that. I mean, and I want to actually throw flowers at you. I remember going to one of your master classes talking about putting GIFs. And I thought to myself, hold on, I love GIFs. That's what I distract myself on social media with. Why don't I add GIFs onto my emails? And I do. If you follow my newsletter, if you don't, you can go to elainelu.com/join. Don't you love that plug in there? And
love it.
Above the fold, I always put a GIF because it's just fun for me. And I actually have a lot of fun looking for the right GIF for each email.
It can be a bit of a time suck when you're like looking for that perfect GIF, but I'm the same way. And studies show that GIFs and other animations will actually increase the engagement on your emails. So not only is it fun for you, but it's actually can be very effective for your business as well.
Yeah, showing your personality. And I get responses to my emails as you do for you, Kim. I'm one of your responders for your emails where it's like, oh
I'm one of your responders too.
Yeah, where it's like, oh my God, that was so funny. This was a great clickbait. This is a great email. Just getting your audience excited. I get responses from my audience too, from my emails. And it's just like, okay, I'm glad it. And I will say, being a millennial, growing up in Zanga and LiveJournal, that's how it feels like when I write my emails. Like people get to really know me. And I'll be honest, I don't want to share everything on social media. I feel like emails is a little diary where it is personal. And my audience members in my email list actually gets to know me more than on my social media.
Yeah, I agree. I see a lot of people doing what I consider to be oversharing, but I know it's just because I'm from a different generation and I have a different approach to that kind of, sharing. But that's why I love the intimacy and connection that you can build in email. And if people don't like it, then they can leave. And it's like totally fine.
And they're not cancel culturing you like on social media. I have had emails like that was horrible or just in caps. Like, that's fine. That was just between me and this person. They could go.
Right.
We're not meant to be.
Yeah.
I wanted to add a bonus question because you are a mother and about sustainability in business. What would be your number one tip when it comes to that? Having a sustainable business as a mother, as a wife, as a partner, and as a human, having mental health, like making sure you're okay.
Well, I definitely want to say I don't have it figured out every day. It's a work in progress. I probably work more than I wish I did. So I'm still trying to figure out my own systems to allow me to outsource a little bit more. But one of the things that always, let me share with you this, like I am working a lot in the last few days because I'm going away for a week of holiday for spring break with my kids. So I'm prioritizing that time away. In the week leading up to it, I'm working my butt off trying to get everything done. And yesterday, my kid came in after school and he was like, Mom, do you want to walk with me to the corner store? And I was like, oh, buddy, I just got to keep doing this work. I got to plow through. And then he asked me again and I perked up and I was like, I want to be the kind of person who says yes to my kid. Like that is why I started this business, was so that I could be present for them and be available to them within reason. And so I thought, if I can't take 10 minutes out of my day to go and walk with him to the corner store and walk back, like that's actually going to be good for my physical health as well as my mental health and my desire to have a little bit more fun and say yes to more fun things. So I think it's just remembering at the moment when you can, I have a choice. I can say yes to working or I can say yes to whatever else the priority is. And just being okay with that decision. Sometimes I say no because I'm saying yes to my business and I'm totally okay with that. But it's just knowing that we each have those moments to make that decision. The other thing that I'll say really helps me is having someone to come and clean my house. It's using meal planning services when I can. It's using grocery shopping where they shop for you and you just go and pick it up. Like, these are all very banal, like unsophisticated, not sexy things to have in your business. But as a working woman, I think they are so helpful. And just knowing that someone is going to come and clean my house frees up the space. It gives me a deadline to, tidy up all my crap so that it's ready to go. And then I have this beautifully clean home for a week. And it just creates so much more expansion and more space in my mental load and my physical being. And that allows me to show up differently in my business and show up differently for my family. So find some of those little tiny low-hanging fruits that will actually build in some more space for you.
I always end podcast episodes asking like, what's a question or action people could have, but you actually provided it right now. Okay. And what I heard from you is being conscious that you have a choice, right? I know there's always assumptions to how to do things like, well, no, I need to finish this to do this. And I loved how you're more mindful of it. I had a call with a client yesterday. She doesn't have a business, but she's working full time. She has 2 daughters. And she's like, Elaine, I've been getting 8 hours of sleep because I've been cuddling with my daughter. Even though I have so much work to do, I chose to cuddle with my daughter. I'm like, well, do you regret it? No, it's giving me that connection with her. And so I love that you're reminding our listeners that you have a choice when. And then 2, you also shared, you don't have to do everything. Like, what can I let go of where I don't have to do it? Like, I could, because I'm obsessed with Target here in the States. What? I could actually put this in a cart and pick it up.
Yeah.
Except I won't do that because Target is my therapy. So I do need to walk around.
And you know what? That's great that you know that. And to be able to say, I'm going to Target today because mama needs it. I need it. Like that's remembering what's important for our self-care and giving us space to do that, but also not judging ourselves when we don't.
That part. So I'm sure everyone has fallen in love with you. So how can people find you or want to work with you or connect with you?
Well, I would say if you're listening to this on the podcast, come and find my podcast, which is Ill Communication, ILL Communication. It's Beastie Boys reference, by the way, because I am obsessed with Beastie Boys. So you can find me on all the podcast platforms. You can link to my podcast from my website, which is kimkiel.com. I'm on most of the social channels. I am not on TikTok, so don't find me there. But you can find me on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Kim. And be sure to also join Kim's email at kimkiel.com/newsletter. I'm a groupie and I always respond to her emails. And I learned so much from it, from even being a reader. Kim, thank you so much.
Thank you, Elaine, for inviting me. I'm glad we were able to get our little girl crush on with each other. And I just love what you're representing in the world and what you're creating, the community that you're creating. And so I'm just really honored that you invited me onto your podcast today.
Of course. Legacy leader, if you want support in creating a sustainable and conscious career in life and want to see how it may look like to work together, then schedule a 30-minute legacy business and career review call where you and I will work on figuring out 3 action items towards your business or career. And we'll see if it's a good fit to work together. You could go to elainelou.com/call. That's ELAINELOU.com/call. And if it's a great fit to work together by the end of the call, great. We can talk about how it looks like to work together. And if it's not a great fit, great. I'll refer you to other people and resources because integrity is one of my top values. So go to elainelou.com/call to schedule a call with me now. And if you just want more business, career, and life tips from me, then join my free bi-weekly Color Your Dreams newsletter at elainelou.com/join.
Legacy Maker, If you love this Color Your Dreams episode, we would love it if you can leave a rating and review on Apple, so more women of color and allies can benefit too. And if you have one or two friends that would get so much from this particular episode, please share. The intention behind the Color Your Dreams podcast was to contribute and give back to our people. All right. We'll see you next Thursday for our newest Color Your Dreams episode. And don't forget to color your dreams to create your legacy.